We're looking at a publication called The Advocate of Moral Reform, which was published in 1837 and which is the organ of the Female Moral Reform Society that you've been talking about with us. Tell us what this publication tried to do.
Well, this publication, especially in these early years, this is only 3 years after the forming of the society, it's trying to attack what they see as one of the great sins, moral failures of American society, and that is the double standard. And here I think you can hear a strong woman's voice involved. They say that male lechery is basically condoned or never basically attacked in society, while women's slightest deviance from rectitude is immediately punished with ostracism, divorce, exile, etc. And so they say this is unfair, this is unjust, and what they do basically is turn the attention, for instance, on this there are 3 articles on this front page. 2 are addressing licentiousness, immorality among men, and condemning those men, and expressing a fair amount of sympathy for the women that were seduced by these men. And the men are defined as people of authority and power in their societies.
But the men are also, at least this man is depicted as being pretty guilty of moral turpitude. So this sentence, his wife was paying a visit to distant relatives, and during her absence, his conduct toward his housekeeper was such as justly to incur censure.
Yes,
well,
exactly.
We would use different language,
but we would be saying the same thing, which is that you shouldn't sexually exploit your working class. And they point out that he holds all sorts of public offices. He's held in high esteem. They say, nevertheless, his notorious guilt, yet strange as it may seem, public opinion in that village could all this time suffer him to occupy respectable stations, hold public office, and, quote, bear rule among the people. So they are really locating the offense in men of power who are exploiting working class women, who are exploiting their servants, or occasionally even sort of playing around with the possibility of incest, because at one point this man then seduces his wife's sister.
Oh dear.
So, and this would have been somebody who had been considered a sister in that period of kinship structure. So he's gone pretty far. And then the second one is they're condemning all the men in another town because they shut their eyes against the light and became voluntary abettors of the blackest of crimes. So much of the moral advocate of moral reform in this early period is attacking male behavior and showing sympathy for the women who were sexually abused and seduced and usually then abandoned.
As opposed to the usual stance, which was to blame women for...
Right. So I wouldn't say that they are saying that the housekeeper is the same as a sister of theirs, but they are saying, they are showing sympathy towards her, and they are not blaming her. They are putting all the blame on the male for immoral behavior on the man and not on the woman, and then pointing out that the man is holding high offices and is protected by other important men in the community. So you can get an image, a picture, a pattern of, I think, of a gender critique of sexual abuse.
Yeah, terrific.
Their object also is to, in the publication of this journal, is to win support in rural areas. So this is distributed throughout what we now call what we then called Greater New England, which is New England and the areas of western New York State, some parts of Pennsylvania that are inhabited by families that have moved from New England into this richer agricultural areas opened by the Erie Canal and the transportation revolution.
The hope would have been to open people's eyes to the behavior of men and to encourage them to condemn that behavior.
And as we mentioned before, they have established, I think, over 400 auxiliaries throughout this area They get financial support. This journal is published twice a month, and the subscription for an entire year is $1. It's not insignificant, but it's relatively minor. This could often be the one newspaper, the one journal that a family would receive, and the women would make sure they received it. And it is constant, telling one story after another of male lechery, of women's abuse of women, of basically a class and gendered analysis of sexuality. So that's and they're proselytizing this around. I'd like also to note that because they are concerned that women who must work, such as the housekeeper in this case, are forced into very low-paying jobs, and they say women can do interior light work as well as men. They can be store clerks. They can even set type and be in the printing industry. And so their journal is, this type is set by women, and all the production of the journal is by women workers in New York City.
Terrific, thank you.
So they do put their money where their mouth is.